in studio. And we are always excited to be here on the airwaves and just bringing you truth about health and wellness and how God designed your body to be healthy and well, that He designed you with the greatest doctor in the entire world is inside of you. I know a lot of people come in and they'll say, oh, I love you, or I love my doctor, or this or that. But the reality is, when you say you've got a great doctor, that's still an outside-in approach. The truth is, your body has the greatest ability to heal inside of you, greater than anything man has ever created. Any testing, any procedure, any medication, it's not greater than your capacity to heal. And what we're going to walk through tonight is arthritis. Now, arthritis has multiple different forms and variations and a lot of names that go along with that. There's millions of people that are suffering with arthritis, some of them autoimmune, some of them wear and tear. We're going to walk through what that is tonight. But most importantly, we're going to talk about how we can help, because Max Living has been able to help so many people with arthritis. Everything from RA, which is, like even juvenile RA, an autoimmune disorder, to osteoarthritis, psoriatic arthritis, even degenerative disc disease, that's arthritis. Most people think of arthritis and they think about their grandmother's hands and their joints start to get swollen. They're like, oh, she's got really big knuckles, or her fingers go off to the side. That's an inflammatory response that's really causing those joints to rot. But the same thing happens in your spine.
Absolutely.
And it's really interesting, Dr. Chris, because we downplay it in the spine.
Yep.
People get told that that's a normal process that happens as you get older. If you've got it in your hands, they'll give them arthritis medication.
All of a sudden, that's a huge issue.
Yeah, it's a big issue.
Yep.
But it's been developing for years and years and years in people's spines, and it creates so many problems. It's not a big deal. You say, oh, that's a part of getting older.
Yep.
So we're going to walk through tonight how we help people with that and how to identify that, and even early on, so we can stop this a lot of times before it gets to that crisis. We're going to walk with you what we're looking for and what we find and how we can help in preventing these things. But the number is 877-778-6978.
So, and the reason that it's so important that people have to understand is that the arthritis that builds up in your spine, that surrounds and protects all life force that flows through your body.
Yeah.
I don't think anybody's going to argue the fact that the nervous system controls life in the body. The nervous system is simply comprised of the brain. It has a tail that stems down from the brain stem, which is the spinal cord. And from the spinal cord, it has nerve roots that come out and they feed life into every single organ. That's basic anatomy of how the body breathes, how the body's arm moves around, how I'm speaking right now is because of an interaction between my brain and my body. Those signals are traveling through the spinal cord. And so when you talk about spinal arthritis, this is a humongous deal. It's so underplayed, it's sickening. We have people come in all the time and say, oh yeah, I knew I had some arthritis in my neck, and it's no big deal. I was, but if my doc said, and even other chiropractors will sometimes tell people that, if you don't have pain, don't worry about it.
Right.
Don't get adjusted. Don't, it's like, it's crazy, because you have to understand the implications of this, because here's some research. Dr. Roger Sperry, he's a Nobel Prize winner on brain research, and he found that spinal movement is responsible for 90% of brain stimulation.
90.
Okay,
That's
so
pretty much all of it.
This is Nobel Prize winning research. He found that 90% of brain stimulation comes from spinal movement. Okay? So spinal movement happens because the joints are lubricated, you have great ranges of motion, you stand upright, you don't slouch over, you don't have a hunchback, you don't have anterior head carriage where your head sticks way out in front of your shoulders. So spinal movement is very important to life. This is what sends signals to the brain so the brain can be activated, so the brain can send life back through the body. It's different pathways that happen, okay? So if you have arthritis, if you have degeneration, are you going to have more or less spinal movement? You're absolutely going to have less. Okay, now those joints, they're fixated. They have adhesions in there. They don't glide. They don't move on each other. So now there's not as much nutrition flooding back up to the brain through the spinal movements, so the brain starts to have issues as well. Okay, so there's so many different cascade of reactions that happen here. Those kind of things don't happen when I have arthritis in my hand. Right. They don't happen when I have arthritis in my knee. I mean, granted, you need those things for mobility, and we don't want those things to happen anywhere. But the process of all of these is because of systemic inflammation, because the body is not in a position to heal. And if the body's not in a position to heal, you've got to correct the cause of why the body's not in that position. And that's what we do. We get down to the cause of why are these things happening. It's not, we can't just take away everyone's arthritis, right? So here's the thing is that if you're young, if you have kids, you need to get them checked. You want to get it checked before you ever have arthritis, right? I'm 35 years old. I don't have arthritis in my spine. I get adjusted once, twice every single week. It's not because I'm in pain or I have an issue. I get adjusted so I don't have arthritis someday. Because I know if I have arthritis when I'm 65 years old, it's going to be a heck of a lot harder to get up and down with my grandkids and throw them around and run up and down the street and play frisbee and throw the football around with them. I'm just not going to be able to do those things if my spine is all bent and molded in the wrong spot and I have degenerative processes happening in there. So if I don't want those things to happen, what do I have to do? I have to make sure that I'm doing things promoting health that are in my body. I'm not just reacting to the situation, right? So that's what we want you guys to understand. If you already have these symptoms, if you know you have arthritis, if you know you have degenerative change in your spine, you have to aggressively attack this and start moving your spine back to the right position. So at the same token that we can't take it away, we can absolutely help get it better, right? So you can help the disc spaces start to replenish themselves. You can add nutrition back to the spinal cord, the nerve roots, the myelin sheaths that all surround it. Add every time one of the beautiful things about adjusting people, Dr. Rick, and I'll turn it back to you here, is that when you adjust somebody and you get movement in the spine, it just turns the lights back on in the brain.
Yeah.
We tell people all the time, it's like your power's on. Every once in a while they're like, what do you mean your power's on? And what I mean by that is that your brain is now, the lights just got flipped on and now it's going to start to send signals back down to the rest of the body to now start healing something that's happening in your gut. And now to start giving you hormones that you need, dopamine and serotonin and oxytocin, the things that make you feel good, all of a sudden these things go up because my brain started working again. So when you adjust someone, one of the biggest effects that happens is that the brain gets turned on and it gets to flow life back out through the body. And that's what we do in our chiropractic max living offices, is get to the cause of why the body's not there in the first place. Guys, degeneration, arthritis that we're talking about today, I was thinking about some testimonies for this, but and we'll go through some here in the show, but it's so many people come in with this. Right. This is so in our wheelhouse of things that we can help you with. Just don't put this off, because I promise you, as you put this off, it's only going to get worse.
Yeah, don't minimize it either. Not just putting it off, but minimize it. Like we were talking about earlier, so many people come in and say that they knew they had it for a long time. That just allows it to get worse. I tell people arthritis is like having termites. You may not know that it's there, or you may not feel it. You may not physically feel the termites eating away at the foundation of your house, but it's there, and every day it's getting worse. They're eating more and more away at the foundation. Arthritis is deteriorating your spine more and more and more every day that it's there. Nobody wants that, but knowing that there is a way to slow that down, start to stop it, and even start to reverse it, that is so powerful. And going back to what you were talking about with at 35 you don't have any arthritis. Well, I'm 42 now. And I've been getting adjusted, I guess, almost 20 years now. But when I started, I had a 16-degree curve in my neck. And I was sick all the time and headaches and all these different things. And now I have a 39-degree curve in my neck. And if you don't know what we're talking about, if you look at your spine from the side, you're actually supposed to have a 45-degree arc. It looks like a banana. That's how your spinal cord is designed to fit into that. And it's interesting because what they found is a lot of that movement that Dr. Chris was talking about with the spine happens because of the spine being in the right position. So looking from front to back, it should be straight. If you're standing in front of a mirror, it's straight. From the side, there are 3 arcs, one in the neck, the mid-back, and the low back. Each one, again, is supposed to be 45 degrees. Well, now mine's 39 degrees, and so I don't have any arthritis or degeneration in my neck either. And I had a guy come in one day. We were the exact same age. And I showed him his x-rays, and he had these nasty bone spurs, and he was having neck pain and a lot of other issues, numbness, tingling in his hands. And I said, well, here's your problem. There's misalignments here, and that's caused degeneration and arthritis over time. That's crushing those nerves, and that's what's causing your problems. He goes, well, no, that can't be it. I've seen other chiropractors. My chiropractors told me that arthritis is normal. That just happens as I get older.
Yeah.
And I'm like, what a tragedy that one, he believed that somebody told him that, because it doesn't just happen out of the blue. There is a reason for that. When your spine is out of alignment, those joints wear and tear faster. It's like the wheels being out of alignment in the car, like we talked about, and that arthritis starts to develop. And I use this study a lot, but they say that when you have a misalignment in the spine, within 2 weeks, the body is developing arthritis. Your spine is starting to deteriorate to the point where arthritis is developing, that they can actually see changes. Now, to be honest, on an x-ray, it takes 10 years for arthritis to develop before we ever see a bone spur, before we ever see a disc that's shrinking. So you go from 0 to 10 years and this problem is developing, your spine is rotting, you don't feel it, you don't know that it's there, you have no clue, and all of a sudden it shows up on an x-ray. Somebody tells you that that's normal, you continue going on another 10 years, now you start to have neck pain, now you have limited range of motion, now your hands are going to sleep, now your blood pressure is high, all because 20 years ago you had arthritis developing in your spine and you had no clue. That's why it is so important that we get people checked as early as possible.
But in that scenario too, like what's the option that most people go to when they've neglected it?
Medication and surgery.
Surgery, yeah. I mean, first off, they'll try medication because that's gonna, and the thing is, most people, they only know their first line of defense is to go to their ortho, to go to a spinal surgeon, to go to their, they might go to their primary care, and then they're gonna say, well, you need to go see a spinal surgeon or an orthopedic or somebody that works on the spine. And so they go do that, and now all of a sudden they're 45 years old, and they knew they had arthritis that no one said was a big deal at 35. Now at 45, it is a big deal because now they actually have symptoms.
Right.
With those symptoms are now going to come, they want you to do surgery. And I'm telling you guys, that is not, there are moments and times where people do need surgery, but vast majority of people need to try things that are very, very less invasive. That's one of the most invasive things you can do, but people do that as their first line of defense.
Well, and when you say try, that doesn't mean like 1 or 2 adjustments.
Exactly.
A lot of people hear that and they're like, well, I tried chiropractic, I got adjusted a couple of times. You think about 20, 30, 40 years of arthritis developing in your body and having misalignments and pressure on those nerves. 1 or 2 adjustments, realistically, that's not trying it. That's why what we do in our office is we call it corrective care. Only about 3% of chiropractors do that, but teaching you how to do things at home, from your work position to sleep posture. All of those things are important, and we walk you through all of that and realize that it is a commitment to start to correct your spine and to start to reverse these. But I had a guy come in the other day, and I showed him his x-rays, and his wife works at a very prominent hospital here. She's kind of high up, and she looked at it, and she goes, wow, if I took this to, and she named 2 orthopedists, she goes, they would immediately say you need surgery. And she looked at it and she goes, you know what? Realistically, if you had surgery, you're going to be out 6 months. There's a possibility of you having symptoms after that create a lot of problems. And she goes, and it's going to cost us a lot more money, even with insurance. Mm-hmm. And for her husband to start getting care, it was a no-brainer because she sees the flip side of that.
Yeah.
But that's what a lot of people don't realize is, when people come in sometimes, Dr. Chris, and say, well, I need to go see a spine specialist, or I went to see a spine specialist. When you walk in my office, you are in a spine specialist. Like, that's what we do.
Yep.
There is nobody better at the spine than us, and being able to help you with these issues. And so many people, I don't know what the exact number is. I'm going to say it's probably pretty close to 100%. But of the people that walk into your office, Dr. Chris, with these issues, how many of them see relief, get better? Maybe not 100% to where they were they're like 15 years old.
Yeah.
But what percentage get better?
Yeah, I would say in the 90s.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's 4 or 5 people, in the last 7 or 8 years that we've been doing this that I can think of that, have really done what we've told them to do, but they just had such bad problems that were already there that we just couldn't get a grasp on it. And some of them are pathological things, cysts in the spinal cord.
Right.
Things that are just out of our control, though. There is limitations to what we can do at points, but I hate to even say that because, the reality is that God created the body to heal the body. We set the body up so that God can heal the body. That's the whole philosophy of everything we do is let's set the spine up. Let's allow this innate intelligence to now heal the body, to go to work, turn the brain on. But you're right. Most everybody gets some sort of relief. And sometimes, though, it's not like all of a sudden my pain is completely gone. But on my pain scale from where it used to be a 9, it's now a 3.
Right.
And that's huge. Where the person used to have a migraine every 3 days, they're now having a migraine once a month. You understand how big of a win that is for people that had 12 migraines a month, and now they're having 1? They'll take that with flying colors.
Yeah.
That's huge for them. So, And there's other things too. There's limitations to, there's perfumes and different things that can throw people, into a spiral of some type of a headache or allergies or different things like that too. So,
yeah, the number is 877-778-6978. So if you know you have arthritis, if you know you need to get checked, if you have somebody that you care about that you want to get checked to see if they might have this happening in their spine and their body, call the number. Again, it's 877-778-6978. There's 3 offices. We've got my office, Dr. Rick Royston, is in Plano. Dr. Chris Kordick is in McKinney. We got Aaron Wall in Fort Worth. And when you call in, it's $40. That $40 is going to reserve your spot. So we do get to help a lot of people in our offices, and when you walk in, it's going to be a bit different experience than probably what you've been anywhere else. But that $40 is going to cover your consultation. It's going to cover the exam, any testing we need to do, up to the point of taking x-rays. If we need to take x-rays, we'll let you know the cost of that, but it really is such a small fee compared to going anywhere else to get
for
them.
sure.
And the whole purpose to taking the x-rays is that we want to see exactly down to the millimeter degree, amount of degeneration, arthritis, misalignment of the spine. We can really get down to what's going on in there.
Or hopefully no arthritis.
Yeah, or none. Yeah, definitely. But being able to identify what's going on. We had a young girl come in the day. She's 22 years old, and found out that she had 2 bones in her neck that were fused. And, she'd been struggling with shoulder pain and some headaches and things like that, and nobody had ever told her that was fused. Well, it was a congenital thing. Been there since birth. But what that was doing was causing the ones above that and below that to start to deteriorate faster. So being able to catch that now and stop that, we've been able to help her with her shoulder pain and those things. But now we're going to help slow down this process so those other bones aren't actually trying to fuse together also.
And that's the same thing that happens for someone that's already had a surgery.
Yes.
So we get this a lot. Someone will call in and say, hey, I've already had, C4, C5 fused up. I've already got rods in there, screws in there. I've had a laminectomy, a discectomy. Realize that you can still get adjusted after that.
Yeah, exactly.
Peyton Manning went and played football after that. You can definitely still get adjusted. There is different methods and ways that we will adjust someone that has some type of hardware already in their spine. But just as he said that, if you've got a couple joints that are fused, you have to do everything in your power to correct the ones below it and above it.
Yep.
That's the same thing with one of the guys that when I said probably in 90%, because I could think of a few guys. We just recently had a guy that had a spinal cyst in his lower back, and so he did have to have surgery. But I said, even after you have this surgery, you're gonna have to still get adjusted.
Yeah.
I mean, the surgery is gonna help you get through this area that you're in, because he had just tremendous numbness in his legs, and it was bad. And so I said, you're still gonna have to come back to get adjusted, because we got to protect the joints above it and below it. And so he understands that, and he realizes that. Another person I had come in this week, he's 34 years old, a guy I met at the gym. One of those guys that just works out hard. You see him in the gym, and you're like, oh my gosh, I want to do that kind of workout. He's really getting it. Real muscular guy and everything. And so he knew I was a chiropractor, and he's had several conversations with me, and he's been kind of putting off getting in, and kind of know how that goes. We procrastinate on things. Okay, we wait for the pain to get bad enough. We wait for the headache to get bad enough. We wait to gain enough weight. We wait for the marriage to get bad enough before we ever ask for help. And so finally he hurts himself squatting. He was squatting like 400 pounds. I mean, just an insane amount of weight that he was squatting. And so he found me the next day at the gym, and he was asking me about it and stuff. I'm like, dude, you just got to come into the office. Let us check you out. Let me take some x-rays. Let's figure out, what position you're in. And he's asking me, what kind of, should he lift weights anymore and all that kind of stuff. And it's like, yeah, you can still do things, but don't do the load-bearing stuff right now, not until we get you kind of out of the woods. Anyways, he comes in, he's basically my age. He's a year younger than me, but he's got just severe degeneration and arthritis at the L5-S1, the very bottom of the spine, so right above your tailbone. So he's got a disc space there and a disc space right above it, where it's had so much impact on it, from working out, from just lifting weights, from doing other things. He also, sits at a desk. You do those kind of things, you impact those joints down there. So he really had no idea that was there. He knew he was in pain, but he thought, okay, I just need to go see a physical therapist, or should I go get some massage? And I'm like, you have to understand this, that if it is a muscle or a ligament type of issue, yeah, those things are great. But the problem is that this is more than that. This is damage and arthritis to your nervous system. You're 34 years old. You're extremely active. how active do you want to be at 44 years old and 54 years old? You know, how do you want those years to look like? You've got to correct this problem. You know, a little massage, a little acupuncture, a little some of this stuff, this may make it feel a little bit better. That's great, and we can do this, you know, with this, but you've got to correct these issues that are around the spine. You know, and then also it starts to create issues to the male reproductive system down there. It causes those kind of issues when you damage those nerve roots that are feeding life into those. So we know how to help him. We know how to set up a treatment plan for that. And so that's what we do. And we get people on course to get well. We give them, you know, everything that they need to do. So you don't have to guess. There's no like, should I come in here? Should I come in there? It's like, no, we will lay out a plan of attack for you. We'll show you exactly what to do. And you just gotta walk through those things and do those things. But like we always say, the first thing you have to do is you got to make the call. It's 877-778-6978, 877-778-6978. Last thing I'll say is don't downplay, like we've been saying this, just it's really on my heart because I feel this all the time. People downplay what is going on. You know, we don't want to know how bad it is, right? I mean, if someone thinks they might have cancer, one of the scariest things they could do to figure out what that tumor is or what the mass is that they can feel is go get that diagnosed, because now there's a realization to there is a problem, and what stage is it in, how much longer do I have to live. You have all these fears in your head that start to play. But with what we do, guys, you have to understand the longer you wait to do something about it, the harder and harder it is to correct, the less life that's flowing through your body to heal all other aspects of your body. So just don't put this off. Come in, get checked out, and we're going to help you. We're going to put together a plan of attack that's going to show you exactly what you need to do. And if it's not something we can help you with, we'll identify that this is more of a musculature thing, and we'll send you to the right place for that.
And it costs more money the longer you wait. You know, and to be honest, that's really the number one reason why people typically wouldn't go to a chiropractor. They think it's going to cost money. You know, well, if I go see this doctor or an orthopedist, or whatever, I've got insurance, it's going to cover that, or, you know, I'm sure that this is my copay or whatever. But you either pay now or you pay later. Mm-hmm. You know, you may have a surgery that gets you out of pain immediately, or you may have an injection that you feel better immediately, but it's not correcting the cause, so it continues to add up over time, and then you have bigger and bigger crises. One of the things I was thinking about was how misalignments in the spine actually stimulate cortisol response. And most people understand now cortisol is one of those things that, you know, starts to cause fat to accumulate around your waist, and they know that's one of those things that can cause your adrenal glands to get burnt out, so you get fatigued. But I mean, if you think about cortisol also, it counteracts insulin in the body. So how your body responds to eating sugar like breads and rice and pasta and tortillas. So having misalignments in the spine can limit how your body uses insulin. So you can more likely to become type 2 diabetic. But it also, those nerves in your low back control your gut. Almost 80 to 90% of serotonin and dopamine, things that help regulate how you feel and your mood and even like depressive states, things like that, it's made in the gut and has to travel up to the brain. Having subluxation can interfere with that, the production, the traveling, but also cortisol counteracts the ability of your brain to use serotonin. So if you have misalignments, and these misalignments are inflammation in the body stimulating the cortisol response, that can lead to depression. And all of these things that we think about that are outside the scope of what a chiropractor might do is we don't cure those things. What we do is we address the spinal issues, fix the spine, and allows your brain to communicate with your body so that your body is functioning at a higher capacity. It doesn't get any more simple than that. And when you come in and we get you checked, we know that there are certain things we're looking for. You know, you can test right now. If you look in a mirror and one of your shoulders is higher than the other, or your head's tilted, or you try to turn when you're driving and you can't look over your shoulder, those are pretty good indications that your spine is not in the right position and that it most likely could be developing arthritis. So go get checked. You know, we do those things, checking posture, range of motion, and orthopedic tests, but then the x-rays really tell you where the problem is and even how long it's been there, Dr. Chris, so we can start to identify, yep, this has been going on for 10 years, 20 years, 50, 60 years. But here's the crazy thing. When you think about arthritis in the spine, to me, this is the kind of the eye-opening thing is your spine is trying to fuse together. So a lot of times we'll see people that they're kind of hunched over, or see, elderly people, or they've got that big hump in their back and they're hunched over, or They can't turn at all. They got to turn their whole body to look around. Their spine is fusing together and ultimately fused together. My grandmother passed away, and she was pretty much at a 90-degree hunched over, and just couldn't stand up. You know, she would tilt her head up to kind of look at you. And I remember the last few years, that's how she lived, and eventually her lungs gave out. She had lung cancer, and they completely shut down. She wasn't getting any oxygen into her lungs because of her posture and her spine fusing together. So when you just think about arthritis and minimizing this, realize the effects that it has on you long term. But being able to start to correct those things, being able to fix those things, and minimize that is just huge. And whether it's your kids, you know, kids fall off slides or monkey bars, or they have sporting accidents, but then you get where you're sitting on your phone or iPad all day long and computers. Those things actually limit motion in the spine, so they start to build up scar tissue, and muscles start to get rigid. That all leads to arthritis also. You know, we talk about multiple things that can cause that, and it can be physical, it can be an emotional, it can be trauma, chemical type things. Those are all things that lead to misalignments in the spine. And we want to help you identify some of the causes of that. So what you're doing on a daily basis, whether it's sleep or work or hobbies, but ultimately by being able to correct these things, you're going to have a better life. You're going to be able to do more. You're going to feel like you can accomplish more. You're going to have more joy. You know, I mean, people come in and sit in our offices, Dr. Chris, and, you know, if it's one of your first time, and like people are sitting there laughing and having fun, you're like, I don't know if I fit in here or not.
Yeah.
But you're going to get there.
Yeah.
You know, given time, you're going to get there too. You're going to feel better.
Because it's nerve-wracking going to a doctor's appointment
Yeah.
for people. I mean, for the first time,
Yeah.
until they realize what they're going to get
Yeah,
at our office.
exactly. But you have to call the number. It's 877-778-6978. I'm Dr. Rick Royston in Plano. Dr. Chris Kordick is in McKinney. Dr. Aaron Wall is in Fort Worth. Make the call. It's $40 to reserve your spot. It covers the exam and any testing we need to do up to the x-rays. I promise you, you will not regret it. Thanks for listening. We love you. God bless.
You have your table in the car?
Take it out this way. Arthritis. Arthritis?
That's awesome.